to resume our program and begin our second session entitled Many Lives, Much Learning, with a talk by our dear Brian Valsburg. Brian Valsburg was born in the United States and was raised in a number of places around the world. Working as a civil construction engineer, he moved to New Jersey area and was introduced to the Spiritist group Love and Light in 2005. Since that time, he has read and studied numerous Spiritist and religious books and has become an instructor for the center teaching adults, teens, leading an introductory course of Spiritism for those new to the center. Brian's topic today is the importance of the gospel in our lives. Brian Valsburg.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you're not all too sleepy from eating that wonderful food. God bless Southern hospitality. I love being down in Georgia. I was told to kind of like keep everyone awake, keep everyone entertained. We've all had a big belly. We all want to kind of feel a little tired. But yet, I drew a serious topic. And I'm like, how do you cheese up a serious topic like this? But I may try, and I may fall flat on my face. Fair warning. So, importance of the gospel in our daily life. Obviously, for all Christians out there, and even the Jews, the Bible is definitely one of the big books in our daily lives. As Spiritists, we also have the Gospel according to Spiritism, and I threw up there as an additional one, the Gospel at the home. Why do we need to keep studying the Gospel? Well, we need to keep reminding ourselves that we're not perfect, and we need to improve. We need to know how to behave. When we came into this world, we weren't given an instruction booklet, or were we? And as we grow, we notice that our level of understanding improves over time. A first grader does not understand calculus. I'm out of college and I still don't understand calculus. But hopefully, as we grow on and learn, our level of understanding improves. So we need to continue to progress. We need to continue to learn. And we need to keep improving ourselves. Prayers, meditation, and leading a balanced life is also, as we're finding out, good for your health. I know we had Dr. Mark Baker up, and I know that there's another new study called neurotheology, and where they're linking the images of the brain, and they're talking about how acts of faith, prayer, meditation, actually activates the brain and keeps it where you're actually using more, and it's staving off. One of their theories they're working on is they're saying by doing prayers, meditating, balanced life, you'll fend off the effects of Alzheimer's because your brain is active. So praying, meditating is good for your health, not just eating your fruits and veggies. Throw some comedy in here. We have good old-fashioned Dilbert. And here, the pointy hair boss is a great illustration of what most of us kind of do with the Bible and the gospel teachings. He reads a book about leadership and says, I don't do any of this. Why would someone publish a book full of errors? Well, it must have been written by disgruntled underlings. Apply that to the Bible. How many of us actually follow the teachings in the Bible? How many of us follow the 10 Commandments? How many of us follow the Golden Rule? Because we needed to live the gospel. The most important thing about being the gospel is that we got to live it. The gospel is our instruction booklet on how to behave. It is the moral map. Jesus himself was also the example. Even if you take his name off of it and just give his acts to any person on the street, they will all say that Jesus was a good person. You don't have to tell them it was Jesus, just says this guy walked around and helped people. That's a good person. And as we're learning through Spiritism, through the teachings of the spirits, they're also saying that one of the big lessons we kind of forgotten is that faith doesn't stop at the church door. When you go to church, Are you a different person for that hour? Or are you a totally different person? So that when you go to church and come out, are you a different person or are you the same person? Because as the spirits have been telling us, everything we do applies to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. So it keeps moving, it keeps going. Cause and effect are not limited to physics. We only love to know the action, reaction, everything else, but then we know karma exists. That what goes around comes around, if not in this lifetime, in another lifetime. But then now we have to think about, so we have all these actions and things we're doing, how do they impact the people? How do we impact ourselves and how do we impact other people? And that's where the last one comes in, pay it forward. I'm remembered of a news story of a doorman in New York City. His whole job was just to open the door for people as they come in and leave the hotel. And he'd always say, have a beautiful, blessed day. Nothing much about it, until someone took offense and filed a complaint and had the guy fired. It comes to find out that his statement, have a beautiful, blessed day, when the people found out that person was fired, they came to rescue him. Because no matter how bad a night, if the bed was lumpy, if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, they snored or whatever, going to work that day and hearing those words, have a beautiful, blessed day, it changes your mindset. You could be going to work and says, I'm going to have a rotten day. No, have a beautiful, blessed day. And now all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I am going to have a beautiful, blessed day. And they go off and they do it. Their day may start bad, but it ends good. And that's paying it forward, making someone else's life better. How can you do this? How can you bring the gospel? First thing you do is you need to know yourself. You got to go through, take an inventory of your personality, what are your flaws, your strengths, and everything else. For most of us, especially those who are probably new to Spiritism, I kind of like to use the old standby, the 7 deadly sins. So you can see them up there. You got pride, envy, gluttony, lust, anger, greed, sloth. And of course you got the contrary virtues that goes with them. Humility, kindness, abstinence, chastity, patience, charity, diligence. I look through that list and I see a few that I need to work on, at least 2. Plus with Georgia sweet tea, I think that puts me in for gluttony. How can you abstain from something so powerfully sweet as Georgia sweet tea? Making me thirsty now. But I know, to move on, Benjamin Franklin even took it a step further. He created his 13 virtues. And he would work 1 week on each virtue. And he would do an analysis at the end of the day, saying if he followed each one of those virtues. And as you can see in the background, we actually have, these have been put into a poster. Unfortunately, it's not outside, about inner transformation. But at the same time, it illustrates these virtues, their definitions, and what Benjamin Franklin meant by them. And how he worked for all his life, 1 week at a time on each of these virtues, and then he'd move to the next one. Though his ledger was more clear by the time he died, it was not perfect. He was trying for it, he was working for it, but he didn't make it. But yet we recognize him as being a model American. He was one of the people we looked up to in early American history. Now, how can you learn more about the gospel? Of course, you've got the Bible. You've got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But there's also other things you can do. The gospel according to Spiritism. I've listed here every single chapter in the book. Look at all the lessons there are. You've got blessed are the merciful, blessed are the pure of heart, the meek, the peace-loving, poor in spirit, the consoling Christ. Things we can do and look, and there's a whole chapter about a parable or a topic, And it's sitting there saying how we can use this to make ourselves better. And they're all from wonderful and powerful spirits, much better than myself. I'm trying, but I'm nowhere near the level of St. Louis, St. Augustine, or anything like that. I keep trying, but next lifetime maybe. Now look, there's a second slide. There's more. We got God, and you can't serve both God and mammon. But if mammon did serve God as well, then you'd both be serving God. Everything would be fine. But if you're against God, you kind of can't serve two masters. You're either for God or you're against God. But as we're a little short on time, I'm going to speed things up a little bit. Within the Spirit's book also, there's a whole third part. Part 3 of the gospel is all moral lessons. And as we're sitting there studying it, you go through and you sit there and see that things that we wouldn't think about as laws actually do apply universally to everything. Oops, I kind of got ahead of myself here. Because I forgot all about the prayers. How can I forget about the prayers? Especially when the first one's the Lord's Prayer. That's an important one. And as the Gospel according to Spiritism had illustrated, it goes through and it discusses the Lord's Prayer. Each line has a meaning, a deeper meaning. Most of us that have been born Catholics, Protestants, we just ramble it right off, not knowing that there's a meaning behind it. But as you look here, there's other prayers, general prayers, prayers for oneself, prayers for others, prayers for those who are no longer on earth, those who have passed on, and those who are sick and obsessed. 3 sections of prayers are all about charity. Now to get me back on track. The Spirit's book had their moral lessons, the third part. And in there, they were talking about law of worship, law of labor. We're supposed to work. We're supposed to progress. We're supposed to be free. We're supposed to have equality amongst ourselves. And we're also supposed to try to achieve moral perfection. We need to work towards it. We have to do all these laws to try to work towards being morally perfect, to become the gospel. We need to follow Jesus' example and become the example. Is there another place to learn more about the gospel? We know of church. We know of our Spiritist centers. And as I found out last night, there are people who are Spiritists, they don't have a center. They've moved away from one. So how can they keep alive their teachings and continue to learn more? One of them is the gospel in the home. It comes by other terms. I think on Kardec Radio it's God at home, Jesus in the home. There's a whole different names, but they all mean the same thing. Take about 20 minutes to an hour. You're held in a public meeting room of your house. I mean, you don't invite people to your bedroom for a meeting or a bathroom. You usually do the living room, the kitchen, someplace a little nicer. And also bear in mind that when you do have gospel in the home, it's not just the people you can see, it's the people you can't see. How many people in this audience are disincarnated? This audience is probably filled with spirits who are listening to this symposium just as we all are. Same thing with gospel in the home. There's people that we won't see them, but they need to hear the words of Jesus Christ. They need to hear the words of the gospel. They need to hear the words of our mentors. Of course, how can you listen to the words if you've got the Xbox, the iPhone, the iPad, the movies playing? You got to turn off the distractions. You need to improve the focus. I mean, I remember a couple of stories where it says, what's the benefit of going to church? Oh, I can balance my checkbook. It's not the purpose of church. Yeah, your finances are up to date. But did you learn anything? No. Include water as we're finding out, especially through the Spiritism, spirits can energize water, make it better for us, put in a spiritual element to water that makes it better for us. There'll be something in that water that's beneficial to us. Now, water itself by itself is wonderful for us. We're mostly water anyway. And of course, the last line, and this is especially the one for those who are a little far from the center. Include your friends, include your family. Improve the dialogue, make it a discussion. You can talk, have a sit down, do a gospel in the home by yourself. It's great for a while, but you kind of want someone else to talk to. Spirits can talk, but usually it's under certain controlled circumstances, and we don't usually advise that in home. How do you do it? Opening, closing prayer. Study the gospel passage. Of course, I've thrown all 3 books up there. Now you get the gospel in the home as kind of a quick study guide. That's a nice little helpful hint. And then of course, got the gospel according to Spiritism, and you got the big 4 chapters of the Bible itself. There's other books too, because you can do a second portion, an optional portion. You can do 20 minutes with the gospel, and you do 20 minutes of something else. Spirit's book, Heaven and Hell, Our Daily Bread, Jesus in the Home. Books that have like 1-page chapters that you can sit there and read really quickly and then sit and discuss. So how would you like it? Then you can sit there and I'll figure out points of view, differences, and see how it works. Be the example. Should you do what is right or do what is easy? The easy way, as Dr. Baker said earlier today, shortcuts. Sometimes it's not good to take shortcuts. Yeah, it may get you there faster, but you didn't benefit. And then the same token, we see this, me being, as they said, I'm construction. So I got people whizzing by me at 80 miles an hour. The only thing protecting me is a little plastic cone about yay big. So 4,000-pound bullets, I don't want to go that way. But they respect it. They're doing the right thing by staying on their side of the cone. I'll stay on my side, they stay on their side. But at the same token, especially here downtown Atlanta, people get a little angry with traffic. And they're just like, I gotta be somewhere. I'm supposed to be there a half hour ago. Let me just quick hop around and do this and I'll be there faster. It's not the right thing to do. Easy, not the right thing. But other examples, I'm sure in your daily life you can all find examples of doing the right thing. I mentioned the gentleman that said, have a beautiful, blessed day. And with that, I'm actually going to say the same thing. Thank you, and have a beautiful, blessed day.